about, it's 6:03 at the moment. Let's get this meeting to order. First and foremost, we don't have any body for public speaking.
Nope.
No submitted comments, anything?
Nope.
You want to say something? Oh, no. Public speaking.
Bring it, the voice up.
I know, I'd like to.
All right, so we're going to review the next steps from the last meeting or additional notes. Petros, you want to take it over there?
Absolutely, Mayor. So I think first order of business from the last meeting would just be to vote on the December 12th meeting minutes. So at this point in time, Mayor, if you want to, or I could entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mark?
Mark.
It's been made. Can you hear me, guys? My
Yeah.
computer froze.
I'll second it.
Seconded.
John Sheedy? All right, take a vote to approve the December 12th meeting minutes. Show of hands or use the hand icon.
That's it. Okay.
Right. Got you, Mr. Collmore.
Two goods over here.
Two goods over there. I'm going to take a quick picture of this. Looks like we got unanimous, Jackie. Perfect. And just looking for Anya. Not sure if you can raise your hand. Oh, there's Anthony as well.
All right.
Can you guys see me?
Yes,
My computer froze a little bit.
we see you.
Okay,
Tis
perfect.
the season.
Anthony, just to catch you up, Mark Lubold motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 12th. Sean Sheedy seconded, and we're just taking a vote to approve those minutes. All right. I think that just about covers everyone, right? Excellent.
Was that everything? And we'll review next steps. Motion mark.
I believe, Mr. Mayor, that is next steps from last meeting, so we could probably move on to the next agenda item.
All right, the next agenda item that we have here, updates on construction administration progress and schedule. Chris LeBlanc.
Sure. I'll share my screen. I'm going to take you through it. Let me know everybody can see that.
Yeah.
Yep, gotcha.
Excellent. So, pretty much the same that's going on this month. RFIs and submittal reviews, those have slowed a little bit. They're coming less frequently as the building continues to develop and complete itself. But we are staying on top of things, working with Fontaine and all the subs to make sure they get answers and responses in a timely fashion. Continue to make sure that any of the products going into the building meet the intent of the construction documents and specifications. Ongoing cost control measures, any of the potential changes that the contractors may submit, we continue to review with our consultants, with Petros and his team, to make sure that they are appropriate for what they're looking for and warranted. These are all things that, as a result of the construction, are a continuous added thing to the building. So it's an added feature or improvement, things of those natures. Ongoing construction compliance reviews and reports. So we continue to inspect work, prepare reports. Those reports get submitted to the building department in discussions with the contractor and answers on-site representation. Carlos, the local building officials have been coming out to do sign-offs for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-in the walls. The building inspector's been out to take a look. So things are moving along well, with minimal, if any, deficiencies. Everything's going well. Construction activities that are taking place, I do have some photos, but the brickwork on the exterior building is probably about 95% complete. They're doing some miscellaneous items in the very front of the building, over the main entrance. They're continuing to close up. We did a window test today that passed. So the contractor will start expediting the installation of all of the windows in the coming weeks to get that building, nice and tight. They currently have temporary plastic over the windows. They're temporary heating the building to make sure that the interior is meeting minimal temperatures and providing a good, safe work environment for all the contractors and workers. So that's going pretty well. They're continuing to do interior mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-in. Today they prepped the gymnasium and cafetorium floor for a concrete pour that's supposed to take place on Monday. Due to the weather, the site contractor has been off this week as the roofing contractor. However, I'll show you some photos. They started to set rooftop equipment yesterday. That halted today, and they'll be continuing that over the next several days as equipment gets delivered, and the crane is on site. FF&E activities. So spoke with Allison. She is ordering color samples for the fabrics for some of the furniture. She's going to meet with Susan, our interior designer, next week to coordinate those colors with the color scheme of the building and the spaces that they'll be going in. We are getting our, I would think, the final equipment list coming up soon. Spoke with Margaret this afternoon on the preliminary list. Everything's looking good. And then our FF&E coordinator will start preparing purchase orders sometimes towards the end of February into the beginning of March for the furniture. That is the longest lead item. So we're looking to start deliveries somewhere in the first week of July. So that everything's in place in July and ready to go. And then the equipment, which has less lead time, will follow with the purchase orders probably sometime beginning of March. With technology, we had a meeting just before the holidays with the technology staff, et cetera. Went very well. So there was some things that we've asked the district's technology department to respond to. We have another meeting coming up, I think, in the next week or so. Once that is finalized, our technology consultant will start preparing the specifications and cut sheets for the equipment, the technology equipment that'll go in the building. Then that'll get reviewed by the district's IT department, make sure everything's on the same page. And again, purchase orders will be going out probably early spring. With that in mind, let's take you through some of the photos. So this morning in the chilly air and cold winds, I got up on the roof. Unfortunately, I was the only one up there, but kind of gives you an idea of some of the rooftop equipment that's going on. We got some of the larger pieces, as you see, the large gray pieces that will provide the heating and cooling for the classroom wings. And we see a few of them on the other end with some condensing units that have been located. So there are a few more pieces that have to go up on the building area roof, and then they'll concentrate on the roof of the gym and cafetorium. So as I mentioned, the cafeteria gym floor preparing for a slab pour. So to the left is the photo when I went in this morning before all of the meetings that took place today. And by the time I left around noon, they had all the reinforcing in place, getting prepared with the last little piece so that on Monday they can pour the concrete floors. And then the remainder of the contractors can get in and start doing some of the finish and mechanical work in the gym and cafetorium. You can see in the right-hand photos a little bit clearer. The initial stage has been poured. So once the floor is poured in the gym and caf, the contractor will get in, start framing out the front part of the proscenium opening for the stage and getting that going. And then progress will continue to proceed. On the left-hand side, we have, I believe this is a science room, but you can see how the sheetrock's going up. The walls have been insulated, ductwork's in place, pipings for sprinkler, etc., is all going in. So this is just one sample of the room on the north side, first floor. But this work, the sheetrock is primarily taking place in the B building, which is the north side on the first floor. They'll be working up towards the second and then work towards the south side, which is closer to the parking areas. On the right-hand side is a picture of what will be the media center on the second floor. So it's, as you can see, a pretty open space They're using it for storage of some materials, insulation and conduit and whatnot. But you can see the framing in the background, the ductwork that's taking place. A lot of progress, excuse me, on the interior. We're averaging somewhere around 80 to 100 workers a day, a majority of which are doing the mechanical, ductwork, plumbing, fire protection, and electrical work on the inside so that that can get inspected and then the walls can start getting closed up with sheetrock. They finished the last piece of on the left side, the courtyard brickwork, so that's all done. It's been washed down. The area has been rough graded. They're not going to be doing much site work in this area until spring and the weather kind of starts getting a little bit better. But you can see the plastic on the windows, which keeps the temp heat in the building. And it's looking pretty good. The roofer's got his roof draped over the side. They're going to start doing the trim work at the top of the walls, in the courtyard and around the perimeter of the building as weather permits. And then on the right side is one of the corridors. I believe this is first floor A building, but you can see how they started some sheetrock at the top and they're bringing the insulation in. They start working their way down. The main corridor has the main piping for sprinklers, plumbing. There's major ductwork in there, which you can see has already been insulated. The sprinkler piping, the electrician's on a lift running his conduit and wiring. So a lot of activities taking place within every day that I go there, whether it be day by day, week by week, a lot of progress taking place. Looking at the most recent schedule, we're on schedule, so that's good for substantial completion on July 1st. Any questions?
Any questions at all?
Mark?
Yeah, I just had one. I'm just curious. You talked about like construction compliance. Is that just looking at the work, making sure things are, being done per the construction documents?
So that's part of it, Mark. So what I'm required to do by law and the building code is myself and our consultants make periodic site reviews. I'm there once a week for site meetings, if not more. So I take a look at the progress that's going on, prepare a report of activities I see. To be quite honest, we've been very good with very limited, if any, deficiencies. If once something comes up, if something's noticed, they're on it, they fix it, make sure it's complying with the documents. And then I'll compile these reports. I have a cover sheet that I've got to fill out per code that identifies, okay, we've been looking at plumbing rough-in, electrical rough-in, sheetrock, concrete work, anything like that. Check off those boxes as part of that, and then we submit that to the building inspector. Now, one of the things I can tell you, it's controlled construction. So even though the inspectors come out, which is required, the architect and engineering team, because we're licensed, we're controlling and signing off on all the work. So
Yeah.
at the end of the job, we'll have all this put together, and fill out one last form for the certificate of occupancy.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything
Any other
else?
All right, I see Anya is on the attendee side. Can we bring her in? If there's no other questions.
Yep, I will.
Thank you, Aaron.
She's on there twice. I tried to promote her once. It's a little confusing because maybe she's on her phone, but hopefully that works.
Uh, thanks, Chris and Petros. Hey. All right, updates on FF&E and technology procurement progress. Chris,
Yeah, as we transition to the next item, I just want to let everybody know I shared this with the mayor and the superintendent, Aaron and Sean, yesterday, but Petros is leaving the project team. He's taken a new job and we have him for another 2 weeks, but I don't expect that you will see him again in a building committee meeting. I mean, who knows? I can hope. But I just want to thank him. He's been a really great member of the team, and we are grateful for his participation. He will be missed. So. Thank you, Petros. You've been awesome to work with.
Thank you all very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of this project. I know how much it means to the city, and it's meant just as much to me. And I'll definitely, this is one of my favorite projects that I've been on, and I'll be watching it get to the finish line for sure.
I have him back at the opening, so Okay, so FF&E, Chris, do you want to say a little bit more about that? Or you did touch on it on your summary. Should we expand a little bit on the process? Or would you like, I can certainly talk about the equipment specification process if that's helpful.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, if there's any questions, I'm not sure what additional information we're looking for, Margaret. If
Yeah, I think this is actually a little bit of transitioning into budget. So let me go to budget and then come back around to the fixtures, furnitures, and equipment. So let me just say that in the way back machine, when the city council voted to approve the project and we executed the funding agreement with the MSBA, you might remember there was this gigantic, terrifying spreadsheet that sort of gave us a budget for every line item. So we're now at the point where we know a lot about the cost of the construction, but we have not yet gone to bid on some of the other items. So I want to divert here just to talk about the numbers where they were and talk about the contingency, because Mark and others have been asking for an update on this. So I'm going to share a graph that Connor actually made. Thank you, Connor, because it is a beauty. But it's to summarize where we are with this. And actually, I'm going to start. This is the graph. Can everybody see this graph? Sort of got
yes,
2 lines. And before we do that, I'm going to also, so this is that scary spreadsheet. Okay, these are the numbers that we're looking at that we have to track the project against. This is kind of the below the line. So above this line is all the stuff that details the cost of construction and services. Below this line are lots of signatures because it's part of the funding agreement. But we're just going to focus for the moment on these 2 line items that I've highlighted: construction contingency and owner's contingency. So hopefully you will remember that as part of the budget process, we recommended contingency values to the building committee and to the city, and they're embedded in here. They are to protect the project from the additional costs that we regularly anticipate. So particularly in construction, stuff happens. Like there are things that come up, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the detail of what those are. And then, the owner's contingency in this case is used for if we have an additional service cost, like if we as Accenture or Chris LeBlanc's team needed an additional service, or we had an increased cost for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that's kind of the background information. That's where these numbers are coming from. So now I'm going to go to Connor's beautiful graph, which kind of explains where we are. So let's talk about what we know right now. So the top is the hard construction cost. So if you are a numbers person, which by the way, I'm not, like I see a number and then I immediately forget it. But the hard cost construction contingency we have in the agreement is about 2.1, it's a little over 2.1 million. So in Connor's graph, that is this amount right here. Now, because the project bid under the estimated value, we ended up with this whole big chunk of what is called here buyout savings. So when we bid the project, the cost was significantly more. So in fact, we have all this construction contingency because for the purposes when these bids came in, the mayor corresponded with the MSBA and said, yes, we want to put that money aside. If we don't spend it, we don't spend it. But it's still the so-called buyout savings is still in the overall budget for the project. So here is the orange bit here is the early site package change orders. And the purple bit is the main construction change orders. And the yellow brick road bit is what is left that is not committed. So I will say that this is a very, very good situation to be in at the level of construction completion that we're at. This is a great, a great condition. But I want to turn to Chris and Petros and ask if maybe Chris, you could take the lead here, talk a little bit about what those change orders were. Before you do that, I just want to say the process that we proposed early on, which is the process we're still using, is that there is a subcommittee of this group, which at this point involves Sean and Ted. It was Jamie originally, as well as Carl Rossi, who look with us monthly at the change orders. They have questions. We sort of go back and forth. And once the change orders have we are satisfied that the number is an accurate, fair number, then it goes to the mayor's desk to actually sign the change order. So that's the process. It's been working very well. But Chris, why don't you talk a little bit about what the examples of what the change orders are? And the typical issues are unforeseen conditions.
Mhm.
And then in this case, I think we've got some costs associated with the new energy code and some details that we have been working out. But Chris, I'll let you kind of give the detail.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, Margaret. So the first portion of the change orders, the orange portion, was from the early site package, and a bulk of that, if you remember, was we anticipate, well, didn't anticipate, but we found additional ACM, asbestos containing material, within the block walls in the existing building. So that cost was somewhere just around $500,000 or so. We did have some credit change orders as well, but the net value is somewhere around 600 or $550,000. So that's where the bulk of that came from in the first order. The magenta, if you will, is the change orders to date in the build package. So we're about $355,000 in change orders from the start. And as Margaret mentioned, it includes a number of different categories. So some things are things related to the new energy code that have taken place, and the things that adjustments that have to have been made. Some of them are due to just minor coordinations of work between trades that are taking place to better fit, to better have better results with the building. Things that, during the bidding process, minor adjustments were made, and then coordination has to take place. Just things through the normal construction process. If you've ever been involved for a project of this size, we are probably more than halfway through the project, and we're only at $355,000. We're in very good shape, even if we didn't have the buyout savings that's projected here. We're doing very well. Our job during construction, as I mentioned to the cost control, is to watch over the costs on behalf of the city to make sure that we are getting a building that is meeting the criteria of the construction documents, the quality, the aesthetics, the programming requirements, and everything that goes in that for the city of Holyoke is maintained. So I think on this project, it's going well. We're working well with the contractors. The costs that are coming in for some of these changes are very reasonable. We've negotiated a few of them. We've rejected a few of them as well because the work is in fact owned under the contract, maybe something they didn't notice, but it's been going very well. So I'm very comfortable at this point with where we are, and we're going to continue to hold this line because, you know, I kind of take it personally. It's a team approach. Mount Vernon Group, I'm not the owner, and we have a dozen or so consultants, but I take it personally trying to make sure that we do the best job we can for the city and our clients. So we're going to continue that process through the end to make sure that if there's any changes, they're very reasonable and they're maintaining all the criteria that I just described,
Right.
so that in the end, city gets
Go
the
ahead and
Holyoke,
get started. I'll join
the
you
city
in a
gets the
minute.
building they deserve. Any questions on that portion? Or Petros, if you have anything to add?
Well, I'll tell you, though, I just want to add, I think part of what we're seeing here is we have a very functional team. Part of what we're seeing here is also the decision to use the model school approach. Because I think for those of you who were here when they had the interviews, Mount Vernon Group made the point that because they are building a building they've built before, they expect to have a lower change order value than you would on a building that was being built for the first time. So any other questions about that? Petros, do you want to add anything? Mark has a question.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. The early site package, didn't that come in well under what the anticipated amount was?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so that 550, is that based on like from their what they bid or from what it was budgeted, if you will?
That number was post bid. So that 550,000 or so was, you factor in those savings. I think still they remained under budget even after
Okay,
change
that's what I
orders were
that's what I
finalized.
was trying
Under
to.
the original estimate. So
Correct.
Mark, the
Right.
savings, the buyout savings reflects savings on both the early site package and the building. We didn't break that out here, but you're
Yeah,
right.
okay. Well, I just was curious
It's
because
a combo
I was
package,
thinking
right?
they were under, and then wow, they were way, way
Yeah.
way over, what the
Well,
budget number was.
Can you guys give a couple of examples of what the early site package change orders were? The big ones?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up.
Yeah, and
What it can-
just a little confusing because I would think you would have kind of what the budget was, what the bid was, and then like what the change orders were, because then you could just see it all nice and neatly,
Mhm.
very easily comparable. I'm
We
not
could
saying,
we
Put
could
that-
present it that way. I mean, I expect we're going to present this from time to time, so we could do it that way in the
yeah,
future.
even if we could get a copy of that, I don't necessarily know it has to be presented,
Mhm.
differently from what you're doing here. It's just to see those numbers like that. You just get a better feel for the project and what's going on, you know. Um,
Yeah, I know you're looking into it, Chris. I think the vermiculite was 596.
Yeah,
Correct, it was 596 to abate and get rid of all of the vermiculite that was hidden within the interior layers of the walls. So basically, they
Right.
used vermiculite as a filler back in the day. And so when we test and do all the initials, there's no way to see that. You can't see through the walls, 10 feet into a wall. So, and basically this school had it everywhere as a filler. So that was a huge chunk on the early site package.
it
And
was.
there was a value for the abatement of the vermiculite, but it ended up being considerably more than what was in the base estimate. So that's right, Sean. That was a while ago. That was the biggest number. So
It was. And other than that, I think the other bigger number at about 15,000 was some removal of additional trees that were in the way of the retaining wall near the residences at the corner of Macintosh and I forget the other name of the street, but we had a lot of credits for change orders on the early site package. Um, so that worked out very well. But we definitely were still under budget overall. And just to give you a little bit of context, for public school projects, we tracked, and I think MSBA does, and public projects in general, the state's average change order rate is somewhere up close to 5% of the overall cost. We try to keep it down to 1% or less. We're well under 1% at this point, at least in the build package. So we're tracking very well. Some of the things for the build package and change orders, as mentioned earlier, it's some things that are just coordination. We ran into some asbestos pipe when doing some excavation that was never kind of laid out or marked on the survey.
yeah, buried
So-
asbestos pipe that was discovered and demolished.
And it was stuff that was probably abandoned years and years ago. So little things like that. Again, we're tracking things as best we can and controlling it to the extent we need to.
Yeah, and another good example of just how we're working with the utility companies and whatnot. We did actually have a change order that was coordinated with Waterworks. So we had several on-site meetings with them when they'd come out to kind of review the water line installation. They just noted for, longevity purposes, maintenance purposes, that they wanted to consider relocating the water line run. So, we spent countless hours with their team, coordinating, drafting up a new kind of revised design. We got it approved by them, priced, and just having that relationship with Waterworks, keeping them happy. That was a great kind of example, and it was a pretty decent sized change order. I think it was about 40 or so thousand, give or
Yeah.
take. Just another example where we're coordinating with the utilities, and that was kind of a good example to at least acknowledge and let you guys know that they're super happy about that, and Dave Conti over there was happy that they'd have that for future. For the next guy who's in charge, he said it wasn't going to be his problem, but 10 to 15 years down the line, it would be somebody else's. So
Exactly. We don't want anybody cursing us after we're gone, long gone. Okay. Any other questions about that? Because I'm going to talk in less detail about the owner's soft contingency, if that's okay. So just back to Connor's beautiful graph. So now the soft cost contingency, which again is for services, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So we've hardly basically, because we haven't bid these packages yet, we will be bidding the furniture package, the technology package, and an equipment package. We don't actually know where we stand yet with this, but I wanted to kind of give you a sense, or this graph gives you a sense of the scale. So the contingency here is about $830,000. We have committed a very small amount of it so far, which was for one additional services and for some additional permitting costs for Mount Vernon Group's team. And then Pedros, there was a value for HG&E for,
I believe it was about 120,000 total per installation and procurement of the generator. Excuse me, the transformer,
Transformer.
give or take.
Yeah, but not all that was taken out of contingency. That was the total value, is what Petro's saying. Just a small portion of that
thank
was
you,
taken
Connor.
from the soft cost contingency.
D5 or so, Connor.
Yeah, 52, something like that. Yeah.
So the thing that the team is working on actively now, which brings us back to the agenda item, which is we are putting together a furnishings package, which we are bidding, and we've taken full advantage in partnership with the school of making sure that we're reusing as much of the furniture in the school as possible. And there's quite a bit of new furniture in the school, by the way. We are also putting together a technology package. Again, the district spent money recently on Chromebooks and other things. And then there's the third piece is an equipment package. So the equipment should be thought of as, depending on which part of the building you're in, it's the stuff that you teach with, right? So it's not paper, not what we call consumers, but it's things like in the special ed department, special equipment that they use to teach kids, or in the kitchen, it's what's called small wares. So it's all the stuff that the pans and the spoons and all of that. In the custodial department, it's the lifts and the sweepers and the vacuum cleaners. So the notion of these projects is that the budget comes when the building is delivered. It's a fully fitted out building. So we're going to be updating you in future months on that piece of it, but that kind of gives you an overview of where we are with construction costs and soft costs. So any question about that before I take it down? Jackie? Nope. You're just waving. I do want to thank the folks from the district, the superintendent's team, Jackie, Sean, Aaron, all deserve call outs here because it's actually taken quite, the furniture person met with departments. We brought in samples. People came and looked at the samples. They looked at different options. People have made equipment lists over the holidays. We sent them all home with Christmas homework. So it's thank you very much, Anthony, to your folks for all the work that has been involved to do this. So Brian Harris, Sean, big shout outs for helping us set that all up over at Dean so that people could come and see the furniture. So I'm going to stop sharing this.
No other questions for Margaret? Margaret, excellent job. Thank you so much from the whole team. All right, Aaron, do you want to talk about progress and really? There's still work. I thought we were done with this, but I could be wrong. It's on the agenda. Name, mascot, colors of the new school.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to share with people that the recommendation of the names for, like, if we're going to name the music room or something for Hal Blaine or something, that's a school committee decision. And there's also other new things in the district, like the, Sullivan basketball courts, maybe that should be named, or the new Lawrence playground. So we are Anthony sending that to school committee for review, and then taking it from there about naming, but they're receiving our recommendations. Any questions?
And any questions? To be clear, Aaron, the name of the school is not, nothing changed.
Yeah, it's not the names.
Actually,
I'm sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Anthony. This was more of a Ronnie question. Go ahead, Ronnie. I know you had asked me about this before, and I said, well, let's bring it up at the building committee meeting and find out. What's your question?
Question on the naming of the school. Is it going to be William R. Peck School, or is it going to be William R. Peck Middle School?
I think I guess we haven't decided that. We're calling Sullivan Middle School. So I think we should call this Peck Middle School.
Well, that I know I get into the technicality here, right? Like if you're adding middle, does that
I think whatever we submitted to the MSBA, whatever it's listed as in our statement of interest, is what it has to stay, or we would have to go through a separate process to change the name.
I know, what I'm saying is if we modified the name to add middle, does that?
Yeah, and I guess that would be a question. Maybe we should discuss this at school committee if that constitutes a name change.
We can confirm with the MSBA, but I will tell you that name change is very common. In fact, Amherst is having the same discussion about the elementary school they're building, and I said, by the way, I know another district that's doing this, and I shared Aaron's process document. So it's not unusual. I think what I would say is you should come forward with what you want to call it, and we can run it by the MSBA, but I wouldn't be bound by what was in the SOI because
I guess Margaret, it's not so much what the state requirements are, it's what our local charters are. And like any name change, basically we had some debate on whether or not that was school committee or city council approval. And what the school committee voted on was to not change the name.
Right.
Essentially.
Okay.
So we're throwing in their middle. Now I think there's a little bit of a change there that might require a city council vote. That's all. I just wanted to. We might have to talk about that further.
Okay.
And get rid of those technicalities.
Good to know.
Can I ask a quick question? What was the former name the William R. Peck Junior High School? Or was it just William?
I haven't seen that in any of our.
Okay.
I haven't seen it on the school. I haven't seen it in our statement of interest or any of that. So.
And I think, Mark, you're right. I think it was William R. Peck Junior High School. And then when it became Peck, which was Peck Lawrence combined, it became William R. Peck School.
Okay.
And I don't know that there was a process to change it, but it went from a junior high school to a just straight school. I'm fairly certain.
And I'm just like doing an online search. It's referred to both as Peck School and Peck Middle School online.
Chris has his hand up, and then I have a comment. Chris?
Yeah, so I just, excuse me, want to make everybody aware, the contractor has submitted the signage package, and they're looking to get that expedited because of the lead time, and part of that is the lettering for the name of the school. So just keep that in mind. We can make a change, but just want to put that out there for everybody's information.
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
was-
keep doing your thing, Chris. I wouldn't hold anything up. I think what we can do is I obviously Hoyle, you never know, but I strongly feel that if we just forward it to get the school board to forward to the council to approve this, whatever the name we're adopting here, just to get these little details out of the way, unless the recent vote of the council was it, if the actual name they voted on, if there was a vote, reflected what the school board said. But what we said was there is no change, so I don't think we even wrote it out. So let's clear that up off here, and then those are the little things that we can iron out.
Yeah, I do just want to add, I think given the longevity of these buildings and how uses change over time, I don't think there's nothing wrong with calling it school. And it was the existed building we took down was a junior high, and Lawrence was a junior high, and now it's an elementary school. It's just, you just don't know where the future will take you. So I don't think you need to be specific if you want to leave that door open. So
Welcome to Holy Britain.
And on MSBA, in the register, it's listed as William R. Peck School. That's how it's listed.
And also, it's also been called Peck Full Service Community School. So that actually, I think, was like at the start of receivership, the name of
That
it.
was
moving
before
forward with.
receivership. That was when Peck and Lawrence came together, and Paul Hyrie got the wraparound grant.
Okay.
okay.
All right.
So back to the agenda. What else have we got here?
All right. So moving on. It's a discussion on adding a new vice co-chair to the MSBC or to this committee. At the last meeting, we announced that we need a co-chair, and we gave people some time to really think about if they would be interested in taking on this role. And so, do I hear any nominations? If no one, I can nominate somebody if that's what. I just want this group to choose who that co-chair is. I feel like our process last time was a good one, and it got us. We had a shared selection of who that person was until finally the person had to step down for personal reasons. So I want to give that ownership to this group. So if there's any nominations or self-nominations.
If no one is stepping up, I'd be willing to do it.
All right, Mark just nominated himself.
Second.
I'll second.
Third, fifth,
Got a bunch of seconds.
Thank you, Mark.
Everybody in favor, just show your hands.
All right. And so at least 2 hands up in one frame. So
that wasn't me.
I'm turning around now, Mark.
Over my 2 hands. Unanimous?
that looks pretty unanimous.
It's unanimous. Anybody opposed? Mark, thank you so much. I'm gonna pass the continuation of the meeting to our new co-vice chair. Mark, take it.
Nothing left to do. Hey,
Send us home.
I just want to say, first off, I am terrible at pronunciation of names. So as we proceed going forward, I apologize in advance. That's a me issue, not a you issue. You are all memorable to me, and I will do my best to make sure I pronounce everyone's names correctly. So on that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, Sean made the motion and Raina seconded it.
Rain a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Looks unanimous. All right, team. Next meeting is February 13th? Must be, because that's the week before
Yep.
school vacation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So February 13th, and then you get to go on vacation the following weeks. Okay. Thank you
Sounds
all so
good.
much.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see
You
you.
all. Been a pleasure working with you all.
Yeah, good
Take
luck
care,
to you.
Petros.
Good luck,
Thank you,
Petros.
All right, thank you.